Good morning. It's June 5th here in Bali. This is my third live video, 3 mornings in a row. My intention is to be here on at 9 o'clock, but I am running into glitches left and right. So either I need to start earlier. I'm sure with time I'll get better at this. I've got two-factor identification with 2 SIM cards, and such is life. Yesterday was tough, really tough. I forget to take time off. I've got a motto on my Inner Nations profile that says, do what you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. And that's pretty much how I've felt for a lot of the last 7 years since I quit my job. It definitely hasn't been always like that, but what happens is when I'm in a good space and I'm productive and I'm energized and creative, I can work a few hours a day, or 10 hours, 12, 15 hours a day, or put in my good 4 or 5. But then I don't take a day off because I'm loving what I do, and I can go for 2, 3, 4 weeks, and it's like, oh my gosh, I've worked every day, even though everything I do, I'm loving I can't say I'm loving every minute. There are definitely challenges. But anyway, yesterday I should have taken the day off, and I attempted to make a YouTube or a Facebook Live, and I wasn't pleased with how it went, so I didn't leave it up. I'm going to go back and look at it and maybe pull out some clips if I didn't delete it by accident. If you saw it, take it with a grain of salt, because actually one of the things I want to do is show up authentically online, so I'm not sure I want to end up crying. That could happen, but yeah, I'm going to have good days and bad, and I don't know how. I'm amazed at these people that I'm thinking of. Who was the woman? Judy Woodruff hosted PBS News every night for years. I was like, how do they pull it off? Always being like up and ready. It's like, wow, that's amazing. It's inspiring to me. So I'm not there, and actually, I don't intend to be. One of the cool things about COVID was we got to see people streaming from their homes, and that opened up a whole new way of being online, I think. But again, the people I saw doing it were pulling it off really well, and it'll take time. So anyway, I woke up this morning energized again, and I'm trying to figure out how to share my screen. I tried to share the whole screen, and all I got was an endless repeat of my screen, like off into a tunnel. And I don't know if I start a video, a Facebook Live, I don't know if I can switch screens, because I want to go back and forth between my Chrome and my photos. So I'll have to figure that out. Eventually I'll be there. I'm going to share photographs of my current experience and my past experiences. I hope I'm not talking too fast. Remind myself to slow down. I have 2 viewers. Let me know who you are if you're interested. If you want to send me an anonymous text, I'll know who it is, but the audience won't. You can send it to my WhatsApp at +1 970 581 1705. Yeah. I'm not sure I want that number public, so I may definitely have to edit this video now. But anyway, if you're if you heard it, you heard it. So yesterday was a trash day, and there's this book. I only know the title. This book called The Art of the Wasted Day, and I get the feeling that there's a method to the madness. So I had that day yesterday. It was just like, I just want this day to end, and I was sleeping a lot. And the video I wanted to show, there's this, they're like big cylindrical balloons that they put by used car parking lots, and they fill them with air, and then like this one arm is flanging around like this. Well, this one, its arm was stuck underneath some piece of metal, and one arm was going up, and I was like, oh my god, that's my day. And I'd have to share it with you, but describing it we'll have to do. So I woke up this morning with some cool ideas that I'm going to actually put out there to give myself some accountability, because I start so many projects that I don't finish. And this one I really want to get some traction. So here it is. I have called myself a multidisciplinary teacher for several years now. And I have to explain it. Every time I have to explain it. What's that? What's multidisciplinary? And, oops, don't change screens. And I tell people I could teach anything. And they're like, what? What do you mean? You can't teach everything? So I want to explain it here as best I can, and maybe with your help I can explain it better. When I was choosing my undergraduate degree, I was so fascinated by everything. It was really hard to pick one thing. It's kind of like going to a smorgasbord. You get there and you want to try a little bit of everything. And it's why I always get the thali when I go to Indian restaurants. I don't want to choose one thing. I want to have a little bit of everything. So, and that's why I felt at choosing my undergraduate major. And I discovered in elementary ed, I got to study everything. Because when you teach children, you have to have general knowledge about lots of things. And I always was fascinated by these people who dove into one topic, like getting a PhD. I thought, oh my God, to spend several years on one micro topic. I envied the ability to do that, but I also I was like, I don't want that at all. I'm a generalist. And so I got to take courses, and I spelled them out this morning, and a lot of memories came back. It was really fun. The courses I took in science, geology, zoology, physical systems. I took courses in psychology as a behavioral and a social science. Math for trig and calculus. Those things actually I won't teach. The reason I didn't become an architect or what was my other dream? Anyway, I didn't do well in math, so that's not the one I'll teach. Composition and writing. I had to take sports, so I took volleyball and diving. I'm not really big into group sports, but more about that later. Social sciences, American history, religions of the East, the world history of the 20th century. I did life skills and personal development courses for my own benefit, but I now have those skills to teach others. So personal goals, personal and social ethics, practical application of learning skills. And interestingly, I got to take a course at the Kinsey Institute. If you've seen, I think the movie is just called Kinsey. Is a sex researcher from Indiana University. And there's a movie, the opening scene in the movie shows people in this auditorium at Indiana University with this lecture, and I took that very class from that opening scene in human sexuality. And if people say, you're studying elementary ed, and why would you take that? Well, 6th grade, that's maturation unit. You need to know this stuff and be able to talk about it intelligently. I took arts and music, which I absolutely love. I grew up thinking I was dyslexic, and I may well have been. I often would I could almost never dial a phone number correctly. The numbers would flip around, and anyway. So I was into the arts, music, drama, dance. So I took African American Choral Ensemble, I took modern dance, jazz dance, arts and crafts, ceramics, music for the listener, and those things I could teach to anyone. And then I took all these courses in educational theory, like how to teach all this stuff. So I learned how to teach ceramics and drawing and voice and volleyball and diving and geology and geography and zoology. I'm a multidisciplinary educator. And the interesting thing for me is that my dream is to take these skills that I have gained as an elementary teacher and bring them to adults. Now, these adults may be people who never went to college, or they may be people who are in college, but they were so focused on one area. Maybe they were into history, or they were into journalism, or they were into whatever, and they didn't get much exposure to music or dance or whatever. So there are many things people have neglected, skills, talents, potentials, and I would like to bring that out within people. So this is the backstory. The idea I have now that I want to get some accountability on, I'm going to use Upwork, which is a site. It's a website for helping people find clients. or for clients to find customers, I guess. And I can put a proposal, and I can have a price, and I can have people sign up. And it's been hard enough for me to articulate this class that I'm going to teach. So one of my big ideas is to do this online, individually and in groups, and then have the groups meet for a long weekend, for a week, maybe even for a month, and groups of similar interest. Now, for me, one of the hardest parts is getting the practice in teaching these things one-on-one and in small groups, and then getting references. I need an overload of what do they call it? Social. There's a word. Anyway, I need lots of people saying, "Yeah, I took his class and it was good." I've read and I understand that it's not really good to have your friends and family writing reviews, right? Because it can be biased. So what I'm going to be asking of this community, of my family, friends, and anyone in this community who maybe I haven't met, to kind of think about people in your life who might like to do a one-on-one class with me. I'm going to start with the basic price of $3 an hour until I get some reviews. And it's like buying me a cup of coffee and spending an hour with me and finding out what you need and then trying to deliver something of value. So my idea currently, this could evolve, my current idea is to offer first a 15 to 20 minute intake where I meet your friend, your colleague, your son or daughter, your uncle, your grandpa, whoever. I listen, I find out what you want most to learn about, see where it matches my skills, give me a few days or a week to come up with a plan, and then meet for the remainder of the hour. So 20 minutes and then 40, or 15 minutes and 45. And then if I'm providing value, maybe we'll book a second session. And once I get enough reviews, once I get enough people who said, yeah, this guy can really teach anything, or here's what he's good at, then I can start to up my price. Okay, so this is a introductory offer, you could call it. And I might as well put it out there now for those of you listening. Just email me or send me a message in Facebook. And actually, this week, I'll offer it to you for free. So more like for people I know personally. Okay? If I've met you in person and we know each other, you can't write a review for me. So it's free for you. If I haven't met you in person, it's $3 for the first hour. And I will ask only that you show up and give it a shot and write me a review if you like what I do. Okay, that just came to me, and let's see how it goes. What else? So in I'm going to give myself a deadline. By Friday, if not sooner, I will have an Upwork official page where I will explain what I'm offering, and people can sign up and pay me through that site, because that's where I'll get the reviews that give me the momentum. If I do it off on the side, then I won't get that experience. So keep that in mind. The other thing about the $3 an hour offer is I want this to be available to people in South America, in Asia, in Africa, and in, I'm sure, any places in America and the West where people are struggling financially. So part of me wants to create a space for that. So I will probably continue to have special offers that are affordable. What else? So this morning I came up with a crazy poem, and I'll tell you how I did it when I'm done reading it. Well, there was something else I wanted to say about the multidisciplinary educator. I earlier just talked about my undergraduate. My graduate degree is in curriculum and instruction, with an emphasis in English as a second language and multicultural education. So not only do I have the basic skills from my elementary years, I fine-tuned my ability to create curriculum and to deliver it. And I was especially focused on helping others deliver it because I worked, when I was an ESL teacher, I worked with classroom teachers to help them as best I could deliver their curriculum. Another thing that's key, one of the things I like to offer is tech skills. Now, I'm not the best techie. I get stuck often, but I know how to find solutions. And because I was employed in really good schools throughout my career, I got constant training. I was even on a tech committee in my last school in India. So I got cutting edge, state-of-the-art updates in technology and use of iPads, for example. That was when I was in India. And now ChatGPT and Bard are coming on the scene, and I am learning to use those ethically and responsibly, and would love to collaborate with people on how to add that to our toolboxes. So, and the reason that came up, an example, my mom needs a lot of help with tech, and I learned to help her even remotely. So I know I can do that. So do I really want to share this poem? I think I do, if I can find it. I went to a poetry slam the other night here in Bali, and actually I don't have it here, so I'm going to wait on that one. I haven't seen who's online. I can't tell who's watching. Let me check my messages to see if anyone used my phone number. I don't think so. I didn't hear anything. If I have the right SIM and... No. Okay. So, poetry. Oh, there was something else I spent a lot of time on yesterday, and maybe that's a bit why I was in a funk. Oh, shoot. Let's see if I want to share this on the screen, but I don't know if I can do that in the middle. So I've been reading about neurodivergence. When I was growing up, my brother said he thought I was autistic. And I didn't learn the word selective mute until I had one in my classroom when I was, I think, in India. I definitely was a selective mute in high school, and even until I was 22. And when I read about people on the spectrum, people who have Asperger's, a lot of what I read really relates to my own experience. Several people have told me, no, you do not have that at all, based on their experience with people who suffer from this condition. But I definitely, like I think I mentioned earlier in this call, I had trouble learning to read. I remember I was nominated to be class president in, actually I was elected by my class to represent them in 6th grade. And then I was nominated to be president of the class, and I turned it down because I didn't want to read the preamble. I knew I would be stumbling through it, and that was embarrassing. And when we would sit in circle learning to read, instead of listening to the story, I would count, oh, there's 3 people, 3 paragraphs. I would rehearse my paragraph, so when it got to be my turn, I could get through it without stumbling. Iceland, that's the word. I-S-L-A-N-D, that's the word I remember getting wrong and just feeling humiliated. I don't know if my teacher or my classmates did anything to shame me, but I definitely felt like I wanted to crawl under a table. And so I didn't follow stories when I was, even during, like, they'd read for 20 minutes. And my mind would find one thing and just drift off into some fantasy world. I'd lose track of the plot, and I'd be lost. And then if we'd had activities on it, that was even worse. So I definitely had a learning disability. It was never diagnosed. It took me 9 years to get through my college degree. not only from my learning disability, but from emotional struggles and social struggles and financial struggles. So, and for a lot of my life, that was a pity party. And every time I talked about it, I felt like, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to drag people down. I don't want to have a pity party. Now I see those struggles as opportunities to teach others who are stuck in those ways. So it's all coming together beautifully. So anyway, yesterday I looked into this neurodivergence, and I found a wonderful graphic, which I'll share in the link, about executive functioning skills. And there was a part. It says executive functioning is usually discussed in terms of behaviors: organized or disorganized, late or on time, impulsive or strategic, completes or abandons tasks. So when I was employed, I had a structure, and I had a team, and I had a deadline. So I got through it. It was tough, I must admit. It was one of the reasons I had to leave, was because it was overwhelming. It's overwhelming for any elementary teacher, believe me. But when you have executive functioning challenges, it's at times insurmountable. And a lot of people I've understood in this area do become entrepreneurs, because it's the only way that they can manage their time and be creative the way they want to be. There was another. Okay, we misjudge executive functioning as character and morality. So this, for me, brings up judgment. And often in my life, when I was doing the very best I could, just to get to work on time with a clean shirt and my teeth brushed, and having had a meal and having at least the first 2 hours of the day planned so that I could catch up at lunch, I imagined that people were judging me and on this character and morality thing. And here's some examples. Thoughtful versus inconsiderate. Responsible versus careless. Rigid versus flexible. Lazy versus dedicated. Reliable versus fickle. Poised versus reactive. Easygoing or picky. Now all those pairs, all of them are judgments, either on the positive or the negative side. And for me, when I'm struggling to be at work on time and deliver something of value, those judgments don't help. And for me, it all starts with self-judgment and self-criticism. So I could talk more about that, but my thoughts are pretty sketchy and new, so I'm going to journal about it. And here's a part: the emotional impact of executive dysfunction. Cannot predict outcomes for big decisions. Cannot hold enough information in working memory to feel sure about anything. That is totally me. I was just saying the other day, I was talking to someone online, and I was saying, every time I say something, not every time, but many times I say something, I immediately think, that's not true. I can find exceptions to that. Cannot hold enough information in working memory to feel sure of anything. Cannot imagine possible scenarios to plan for emotionally and practically. I have to digest that one. Cannot arrange steps in mind to be able to make an informed choice. My dad had the same affliction, and our family therapist from the 70s actually included him in one of her books. She was talking about getting lost in thought. And my dad had told a story of going to the grocery store to buy something. I can't remember, a can of beans or something. And he would wander down the aisle. I do this myself. I know exactly what it's like. First to find the beans without being distracted by 100 other things on the way to the beans. and then passing the bean aisle 5 times because I wasn't looking clearly at the labels, and then finding the bean aisle and getting overwhelmed with the choices and reading the contents, the salt intake and the comparing prices, because I had this poverty mindset. I was always looking for the cheapest deal. Should I boil them or should I buy the canned ones? And I would be in there for, oh my God, I'd go in for one thing, it would be an hour. So this illustrates the cannot arrange steps in mind to make informed decisions. And I don't know if this relates to introversion or not. I'd be curious if any people, and again, this group isn't just for introverts. I say it's for introverts and anyone who loves one. Yeah, I'm curious to hear from you, and I'm going to do some research to see if there is an overlap or what that looks like. I think part of this labeling this group about being for introverts is that introverts don't often express these thoughts readily unless they're asked. It wouldn't cross my mind to talk about this. I would be with my family or friends, and I've got someone sawing in the background. I think I'll talk over this to see for myself what the sound is like. No one's listening, so it doesn't matter. I'm thinking, as this is happening, I'm wondering about checking places that I want to rent for groups and seeing if there's construction in the area. And if they can find out if their neighbors are planning to do anything like this. I also noticed, I think I can edit that later. I completely lost what I was saying. I only have 2 minutes left anyway, so. And since no one's listening, I think I will wrap it up. And this time I might have the peace of mind to edit this video properly. Let's give it a shot.